I don't know about you, but I work really long hours, and when I come home at 7 or 8 o'clock in the night, the last thing I want to do is cook something complicated that's going to take me forever. I want to be able to chop, throw things in a pot, do it quickly, and for it to be delicious. And we're going to start with some pork tenderloin. Pork tenderloin cooks very quickly, it's very lean, it's very delicious. And I've got here some pork that I got at Malabar Farms Gourmet Shop. It's Hormel and it's already been seasoned, which is really good. Buy seasoned food, keep it in the freezer. You know, a lot of people have problems with pork. I think it is delicious. And if you get rid of the fat, people call it the other white meat. So I'm just going to cut some fairly thin slices of pork tenderloin. The other thing we've got, let me give the hands a quick wash. The other thing we're going to be having with this very quick meal is some Christophine. And not many people love Christophine, but you know, people traditionally just boil the Christophine and poor Christophine, what did it ever do to deserve that kind of treatment? So I'm cutting very thin slices using my peeler. And when you want something to cook quickly, cut it thin or cut it small. And I'm going to steam these, just steam them very lightly. Right, so let's take our meat and our Christophine over. Now, I'm actually going to cook the pork last because it's cooking quicker than everything else, right? So I've got my steamer happening here. That's to steam the Christophine. Now, we're going to have some potato wedges, which we're frying, right? So I'm going to put some of my lovely chili, homemade chili oil in there, which is olive oil infused with chili peppers and peppercorns. And what I've done with my potatoes is I have basically cut them lengthways into quarters and boiled them for about 3 minutes of boiling, so that the outside gets cooked, right? And what you do, what makes the potato wedges work really well is when you can bash them about a good bit in the pot and you get a sort of fluffy outside on the potato, right? So I'm just gonna bang around in the pot, and what happens is my potatoes get kind of mashed up around the edges, and that's exactly what I want. Because what I'm gonna do with that is salt, some good old pepper, and I'm going to put some, you know, maybe some all-purpose seasoning on there. Let's get this over. Right. If you wanted, you could use some herbs. I'm just going to sprinkle quite a bit on because these are going to be sort of flavored potato wedges. Put the lid on and kind of bash them around and make sure everything gets a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, a bit of seasoning on each surface. And then what I'm going to do is just pop those in the olive oil, right? And let those cook. And you want them to get nice and brown like chips. And you'll find they get all nice and crunchy on the outside. Okay. These are really delicious. So I've got my spatula. Now, I think, you know, the key to cooking things quickly is that to make sure you time things right. So, do I want to put my Christophine in first? Do I want to put the pork in first? How long do I want to let the potato cook before I start doing everything else? Because you want everything basically to be ready to go on the table, boom, at the same time, right? So I'm going to leave these to cook for a little while before I start doing other things. Now, for my pork tenderloin, you'll find you don't want to overcook it, you don't want to kill it, right? You just want to cook it very gently, and I'm going to cook it in a mixture of olive oil and butter, right? So I've got a bit of olive oil, when you combine olive oil and butter, what you're doing is giving the food a chance to cook without, in a kind of nice buttery environment, without having the butter burning, right? So a good tablespoon of butter. Let that all melt down. And I think I'm going to put just a little bit of maybe some teriyaki sauce. As I mentioned, the pork was already seasoned, so I don't really have to do very much to it at all. So I'm just going to put rub in a little teriyaki there. And now my pot for the Christophine is steaming away here, so I'm going to just drop all my ribbons of Christophine in there. Sprinkle on some salt. And this is going to take a minute and a half to cook, right? And then just drop in my bits of pork. Remember, you don't want it to be too high. Let it cook gently. Tenderloin is such a gorgeous cut of meat, and it's supposed to be just that. When you bite into it, it's tender, it's juicy. So, you know, let's treat it with a little respect, you know. Right, let's have a look at my potato wedges and see how those are coming along. Oh, it's looking really nice and sort of golden brown there. Ooh, these are looking nice. These are going to be really nice and crunchy on the outside. Now, if I take a look at my Christophine, it's hot, but it's also just about ready. Let's get that there. Back in the pot for the Christophine. Ooh, my pork is coming along. It's practically done. Right, okay. Back in the pot. And I'm just gonna, into the Christophine, I'm gonna put like a little lump of butter. And I've got here some dried tarragon, which you can get at high-low at any supermarket. It's very available. And I'm gonna put a good sized pinch into there. And just with the tongs, tarragon and Christophine they make a beautiful combination. Very delicious. And I've got these lovely kind of ribbons of vegetable happening. So, everything is ready. I can't believe how quickly that cooked. Everything is ready, and I'm going to put it on the plate, right? So, let me go over to the counter, turn all the burners off. Right, let's get the pork as well. Alright, so let's start with our potatoes. So I've got these lovely, these look good, chunks of potato wedgies, nice and golden brown and crispy. Then I got my pork. So, let's get it up there. In Spain, they do pork like this, puerca. I've been to Spain a couple of times, and all I know how to talk about is food. Puerca, por favor. Con patatas fritas. Those are patatas fritas. Alright, so my pork. And then I got my beautiful ribbons of Christophine. There you go. And there you have it. That one is our 20-minute meal.